Hello and welcome to Skolaris Weekly. I'm your host Martin Klemsa. Today we'll have a look at deactivation of objects. When you want to delete an object such as a class group, Skolaris gives you a warning that you should really deactivate it instead of deleting. So what does it mean to deactivate an object? First of all, it has to be said that deactivation only makes sense when you use Skolaris for multiple terms. So if this is your first time using Skolaris, deactivation doesn't really make any sense for you. But once you reach the next term and you, for example, clone the current term, which we're going to do right now, so I've cloned the current term and I'm going to rename it to autumn 2022, starting September 1st, for example. And now all my lessons were cloned. But let's say that there is no longer class group 5a. But it was there in the last term, so what are we going to do? We're going to deactivate it, because if I delete class group 5a, I'm going to lose last year's timetables, last year's lessons, courses, and so on. So by deactivating, I made sure that I keep the data for the last year intact. Now, if I go to the timetable, I will still be able to see, these are all my clone timetables, so just get rid of most of them. Right, and I'll still see class group 5a in here. But wait, I've just deactivated 5a. Why is it here? Deactivation says it should be hidden from all the lists and from the timetable. The problem is that 5a still has lessons in this term. And because it has lessons, it will be shown everywhere, just as if it were active. The reason is that when I go to the last term, it's definitely going to have lessons there, and I want to see the last term's timetable, including all the objects that had lessons. But once I delete all these periods, all these lessons here, delete, and that was 5b, because 5a is at the end. So never mind, I'm just going to delete all the lessons 5a as well. Nice. Well, now when I go to the timetable, I will no longer see 5a in the list here, because 5a has no lessons. 5b has no lessons as well, but it hasn't been deactivated, so it is still shown in the list. If I now deactivate 5b and save, then I will no longer see 5b in this timetable. Also, when I deactivate all the teaching groups that are composed of the no longer active class groups and subgroups, I will no longer see them in the list of teaching groups, for example, when I create a new course. So there's not going to be teaching group 5a visible here. Well, it is there, but it's at the end and it is grayed out. I can still see these courses without lessons because I haven't deactivated the courses. The course and the class group don't have a direct relationship, so when I deactivated class group 5A, it doesn't mean that I automatically deactivated all the courses as well, because there can be other participants in these. It's like 5A and 5B boys. If deactivation of 5A deactivated all the courses of 5A, it would mean that these two would be deactivated, but maybe 5B is still there, so we don't know that. We're just going to have to filter to the deactivated class group and deactivate the courses manually. So what did it do with relation to the last term? Sorry, we actually did this in spring 2022, but if I go to autumn 2022, that should be unaffected. So the objects are still deactivated, that's right, but they still have lessons. So when I go to the timetable, the list of timetables, and open my timetable here, it will still show 5A and 5B. They're deactivated, but they're there because they have lessons. Deactivating teachers is very similar. When I do deactivate them and they have no lessons, they no longer appear in timetable printouts, for example, or in the timetable filters. Let's go to that term where we deleted those lessons. And that was this one. And see the list of teachers. And they all still teach something, so deactivation wouldn't really make any sense. But if somebody taught no more lessons and we wanted them to not appear in the lists or in the printouts, then deactivation would be the way to go, just to keep them in that last term. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye.